In mixed martial arts, the two popular ways to finish a fight are knockout or submission. If you ever find yourself on the ground with one of these fighters, a submission is almost guaranteed. This is KnuckleUp Fite TV, and here are our top 10 submission specialists in MMA. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to KnuckleUp Fite TV. At number 10, we have Gary the Lion Killer Tonin. He currently fights for ONE Championship's featherweight division. His grappling background is wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights out of Kron Gracie's in New York City and Evolve MMA in Singapore. Wrestling as a juvenile, he switched to BJJ in his teens, and he's competed non-stop ever since. He went on to win No-Gi Pan Ams, 5 EBIs, multiple Polaris and Metamoris super fights, and he has a bronze from the ADCC championships. In 2018, he had his MMA debut for ONE Championship, and he now has a record of 5-0 with 3 submissions. Hopefully he fights again soon. His submission hunting style is perfect for MMA. At number 9, we have Kron Gracie. He currently fights for the UFC's featherweight division. His grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights out of Cesar Gracie Fight Team in Stockton, California. Growing up, the son of legendary Jiu-Jitsu and MMA pioneer Rickson Gracie, Kron's training started at a young age. Not the most active competitor at black belt, his grappling resume still includes an ADCC championship, a European Open championship, and a silver at the Pan Ams and World Championships. In 2014, Kron had his MMA debut. He then fought for Rizin and became 4-0 with 4 submissions. He signed with the UFC in 2019, and his record is now 5-1 with 5 submissions. With flawless fundamentals and a slick offensive guard, we look forward to Ice Cream Kron's next fight. At number 8, we have Ryan the Wizard Hall. He currently fights for the UFC's featherweight division. His grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights out of 50-50 BJJ in Virginia and TriStar Gym in Canada. Hall was known for his no-gi grappling and submitting black belts from his early days as a blue belt. Competing at the highest level, he did well, and his biggest accomplishments to date is a bronze medal at the ADCC championships. In 2015, he joined the McGregor and Faber Ultimate Fighter show, and he won the finale. His record is now 10-2 with 5 submissions if you count his tough fights. With the leg lock entries from everywhere and a tricky style, Hall is a submission threat for anyone. At number 7, we have Michelle Zonato Nicolini. She currently fights for ONE Championship's strawweight division. Her grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and she fights out of Checkmat in Brazil and Evolve MMA in Singapore. Nicolini is one of the most decorated fighters in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She has 8 world championships, an ADCC championship, 4 no-gi world championships, and many other titles. Nicolini made her MMA debut in 2011, but she was never consistent until retiring from grappling competition. In 2016, she made her ONE Championship debut, and she now has a record of 6-2 with 5 of her wins by submission. With the ground game far ahead of the rest of the division, a title run is inevitable. At number 6, we have Hadolfo the Black Belt Hunter Vieira. He currently fights for the UFC's middleweight division. His grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights out of GFT in Brazil and Fusion XL in Orlando, Florida. Hadolfo began competing at black belt in 2011 and went on to become one of the most dominant heavyweights in Jiu-Jitsu competition. His resume includes an ADCC championship, 5 world championships, 7 World Cups, and many other titles. In 2017, he had his MMA debut, and he went on to compile a record of 5-0 with 4 submissions. In 2019, he made his UFC debut, and he's now 7-0 with 6 submissions. With strong takedowns and high-level jiu-jitsu, Hadolfo is a bad matchup for everyone. At number 5, we have Mackenzie Dern. She currently fights for the UFC Women's Strawweight division. Her grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and she fights out of Black House MMA in Los Angeles, California. At black belt, Mackenzie is a 2-time world champion, an ADCC champion, a 3-time World Cup champion, and she has too many other titles to list. In 2016, she made her MMA debut, and she accumulated a 5-0 record before heading to the UFC. Fighting for the UFC since 2018, Mackenzie now has a 9-1 record with 6 submissions. With unmatched technique and deadly submission skills, we look forward to her next fight. At number 4, we have Rafael Lovato Jr. He currently fights for Bellator MMA's middleweight division. His grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights out of Lovato Jiu-Jitsu in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Competing since his teens, he became one of the top American competitors in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. At black belt, his resume includes a world championship, 3 no-gi world championships, a no-gi World Cup, and many other titles. In 2014, Lovato had his MMA debut for Legacy Fighting Championship. He went 4-0 for the organization before joining Bellator. Lovato continued his winning ways, and he's now 10-0 with 6 wins by submission and a middleweight world championship. Currently sidelined from Cavernoma, we wish Lovato the best. At number 3, we have Fabricio Werdum. He currently fights for the UFC's heavyweight division. His grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights out of King's MMA in Los Angeles, California. Werdum's grappling resume includes 2 world championships, 2 ADCC championships, and many other titles. In 2002, he started fighting MMA, and he went on to fight for some of the biggest organizations in the world. Werdum submitted Overeem in Pride FC. He submitted Fedor for Strikeforce. He also won the UFC interim title in 2014, and in 2015 he submitted Cain Velasquez and unified the heavyweight titles. With a record of 24-9 with 12 submissions, Werdum is the top submission grappler in MMA's heavyweight division. At number 2, we have Ronaldo Jacare Souza. He currently fights for the UFC's middleweight division. His grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, and he fights out of Fusion XL in Ocoee, Orlando, Florida. Jacare won 8 world championships, an ADCC championship, a World Cup championship, and many other titles. In 2003, Jacare had his MMA debut, and after putting on a few submission clinics for Jungle Fight and Dream, he made his way to Strikeforce. Dominating in Strikeforce, Jacare went on to win the middleweight championship, and in 2013, he made his way to the UFC. With a record of 26-8 with 14 submissions, Jacare is one of the elite submission specialists in MMA. At number 1, we have Damian Maia. He currently fights for the UFC's welterweight division. His grappling background is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights out of Damian Maia Jiu-Jitsu in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Maia's grappling resume includes an ADCC championship, 3 World Cup championships, and a boatload of other titles. While competing in submission grappling, Maia fought MMA for a few small organizations and dominated. Signing with the UFC in 2007, Maia continued to dominate. With a record of 28-10 with 14 submissions, Maia has not only fought the best, he submitted a lot of them. Always showing the fans high-level jiu-jitsu, we look forward to his next fight. That wraps up our top 10 submission specialists in MMA. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, hit the like button, and stay tuned for what's next from KnuckleUp Fight TV.